Hello and welcome to the Knights of Gab-A-Lot. I am Sir Benjamin of the Coin,
And I am Sir Nick of App Great Tradition GT.
and we are here to yap your ears off over whatever we like. And what we'll yap your off about today is Alien Earth Episode 2. All right, let's take it away.
October. That's the name of the episode, Mr. October.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. I was actually going to ask, like, do you remember the name?
I do. I wrote it down. I guess I didn't actually write the note as to why the episode was called Mr. October, but I was paying attention while I was watching it, and and then I lost kind of focus for a scene. So I still don't know why it's called Mr. October. That just goes to show you how riveting the show is.
For those who have not seen it, just a quick recap. Previous episode, a Weyland-Yutani deep space vessel crashes in New Saigon. It is owned by Prodigy, a rival corporation that has been experimenting with transferring human consciousness to android bodies. And in the investigation, they have sent a group of their most recent transfers to android bodies, a bunch of children, into take part in the rescue. And that now then
Adult bar.
yes, children
I can't
minds.
imagine what goes wrong.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, we open with the security team, and the medic, Joe, walking through the crashed ship, finding bodies of the crew.
One thing I wanted to say is this was just my very first note.
Eh?
I actually really like the way they do recaps.
Yes.
I like the way they do the recaps. It's efficient. And it's kind of it's a little unnerving as well. I thought that it always set the scene. It always kind of set you up for disappointment, but it set up the scene extremely well. And the very first scenes too, the set design again, top notch.
Mhm.
One complaint for me about the set design.
Yeah, I have no complaints there too. One of the first things that popped into my head, I can't remember if I, noticed this in the first episode, but, definitely in the second episode, the design of the, rifles that the Prodigy security guys use, my first thought was oh, shoot, I'm trying to remember the technical name of them, not the ones from the neck from the a like, yes, I know they're supposed to look similar to the ones that we see in Aliens, which I think takes place, like, 100 and something years after, um, but, some of the designs of
Well, 60 years.
6 years?
60
Okay.
because this show takes place 3 years prior to the Nostromo, and all of that, and then Millions happens 55, 58 years
Right,
after the Nostromo.
right. Anywho, the rifles reminded me of, and I really wish I could remember off the top of my head what the name of them were, but have you ever played Metal Gear Solid?
I've played the Phantom Pain.
Okay. Uh, no, they remind me of the rifles used in the very first, Metal Gear Solid title on Shadow Moses Island. I think they were called FAMAS, I think was the name of the rifle. I think it was a French or Italian rifle. It was a bullpup, and the rifles really reminded me of that. So, Metal Gear Solid fan has to, of course, geek out about anything Metal Gear Solid.
I know that they were trying to draw that visual connection to the pulse rifles. I think they're M1 pulse rifles from
Mhm.
Aliens. I guess they're different enough, but I don't know, I was trying to figure out if they were actually the exact same design, because if they were, that's really dumb, because the amount of technological change that happens with guns in 60 years is incredible.
No, they are different.
They are different? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they're quite different, and I also, if I remember correctly, the magazine receiver is in front of the trigger and everything, whereas in the ones in this show, it's behind, bullpup style. No, I think they did a really good job of being like, "Hey, this looks similar to this firearm design, but different enough that you could like, oh, yeah, I could see it building off of this similar design in 60 years," even though, one could debate, okay, who's supplying whom? Are we buying firearms from the same from the same company, or are they produced in house? And is Prodigy also buying from Weyland-Yutani or Weyland-Yutani buying for Prodigy. We could get into a whole nerding out thing.
Uh,
I'll stop.
I mean, that would be an interesting bit of world building, which maybe could have got fit in if they didn't try to do so many different things.
Yeah, that I think, we'll address those so many different things in later episodes when they still try doing more even more things, I think.
100%. There's definitely some weapon stuff later in the episode. We'll definitely get to that.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few things that make me think, how does this how does this fit in the alien universe chronologically? Little
Mm,
things that
maybe we'll wait until a little later. Let's wait till the end to discuss, years in chronology because I've got a doozy.
okay,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
I,
Okay. Yeah,
I
so we had the opening, there
being the not Nostromo.
yes, they're sweeping the Nostromo, plenty of evidence of alien infection. Not much to say other than them walking through, and yeah, my notes say also like loving the set design and everything that they did with that. Like that was just the way I've got my notes. Then we cut to discussing what's his name again? Boy Genius talking with
Cavalier, yeah.
talking with Dr. Sylvia, I think her name was.
Don Sylvia, yeah.
Yes. Yes, discussing now, I really wish I could remember. I would taken more notes on that conversation. I think that was a conversation that hinted at far deeper discussion about humanity, robotics, um,
Yeah,
integration of software and wetware.
it did, but then it just turned into a conversation about how Boy Cavalier wanted to find somebody who was, intelligent and interesting enough to talk to, which maybe would have landed really well if they hadn't spent so much time telling us how intelligent he is, as opposed to just showing us how intelligent he is. Because every action he takes and everything that he says suggests that he's an idiot. But because he's constructed this massive corporation, he's basically a president. He's obviously intelligent, but they just tell you, they don't show you. Yeah, there was a hint of an interesting conversation there, though. The nature of humanity in light of the technological achievement. We've
Mhm.
accomplished something nobody has ever done before. And he just wants to find someone smart enough to talk to.
Which I don't think is a bad motive. It feels a little cliche and self-aggrandizing and kind of a god complex. I mean, makes sense he would have a god complex. Uh,
Yeah, that would make sense.
um, Again, it's not a bad motive. Just I think the problem is we're also jumping ahead mentally because we've seen the whole show. Just yeah, some of the things he says just doesn't line up with who he's supposed to be. Like you said, he's supposed to be super intelligent, and yet he's an idiot.
Yeah, well, the show tells us that he is smarter than everybody else. And usually what you want to do with that when you have a comparison is you want to have a night and day comparison.
Yeah.
When it comes to how the people in the show talk, he does not sound any more or less intelligent than them.
Yes.
And that's without saying how intelligent they are or are not. And that could have been interesting if it was just an obvious ego, like a foil or something for himself. They undercook this through line,
Mhm.
starting here all the way to the end.
Yeah, agreed.
Uh, One thing I do like about the characters, and again, trying to find positive things to say about the show, I think the woman who plays Dom Sylvia does a good job of being empathetic. I
Mhm.
feel like she's not a nothing character.
No,
There's some
not at
characters
all.
that still come in and you feel like, "I just wish you weren't here. You don't fit. You don't work." Slightly, strange, but that does lead into there was actually an interesting conversation that showed up in the next scene.
Oh, and she's talking about her brother with the lost boys?
Yeah, when they're in the ship
Mhm.
heading towards New Siam. Is it
Right.
New Siam or New Saigon? I think it's Siam.
Siam. Did I say Saigon?
Oh, that's
Yeah, it
fine.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, and she's talking to Slightly,
Mhm.
about I can't remember what she was talking about. It was about her brother Joe.
Yeah,
But then Slightly tells this interesting story, and I think it's interesting because it's really relatable. He tells a story about how his dad died, and they burned his body. They cremated it,
right.
and he always wondered as a kid up to this day if he wasn't really dead, but they burned him anyway.
Yes.
And it kind of hit out of nowhere, but that was a really interesting chunk of dialogue that I thought was really good. That's a very relatable thought or fear. It doesn't lead into anything else, but I liked that.
That's one thing, like, this is slightly jumping ahead kind of forward time, but I will admit for all the issues that these episodes have, there are quite a few I don't know if you'd say character moments. Okay, they're not character moments, they're just bits of dialogue that are interesting. They work well with the scene that they're doing and everything. Unfortunately, most of the moments that they set up don't have any payoff, and don't really work,
Yeah,
with
show.
yeah, with the overall tapestry. They're nice little pieces of color, but they amount to nothing, unfortunately. Yeah, it's rather unfortunate because some of those moments are really well done, very well acted. The story and dialogue in those moments is usually quite engaging and, like you said, relatable, but they have no bearing on the story, and, I mean, they don't always have to, have a bearing on the story, but they could have at least need to help inform you a bit about the character, and they don't always. This, I think they were trying to develop Slightly's character a bit more, and so you understood a bit of why he was the way he was, later on in the story and everything. Um,
Agreed.
but
It was too isolated.
yeah,
Like like
yes.
these little pockets of really great dialogue are like islands, and you don't. This is a stupid analogy, but we're just going to go with it. They're like islands, and in order to get there, you take a ship. In order to leave from there, you take a ship. But in the show, they don't show you the coming or the going.
Mhm.
If that makes any sense. It was a
I f
stupid example, but it was just these little islands where how did we get here? Oh, cool. That's cool. How do we get to the next part now?
They're just there. Yep. No, I think I get where you're driving at. Yeah, that was good.
Back to the not Marines.
Oh, yes, yes, our first full I mean, we get a little glimpses of the Xeno in the first episode, but this definitely we get a far bigger, uh, look. I liked the tension that they built there, like, where you knew the Xeno was stalking them, and but
Yeah.
that point when Joe is like, when they're in the stairwell, Joe notices that there's something above them, and, the other Marines can't see what he's seeing or sense what he's sensing. All they see is his reaction, and they're just going off of that, and I thought that was I don't know, I like the blocking and the setup for that scene.
Yeah, no, it was good. That whole little it definitely this is not the first time though that we're gonna see just how big Joe's plot armor is.
Yes, yes, and, for those who doesn't, here, Zeno attacks them, they get separated, and Joe somehow survives.
Yeah, he
Like,
he outpaces the Xeno down a hallway,
I
which is a problem because this episode is the episode where we see just how fast this Xeno is.
Mhm.
There's a lot of inconsistent movement. There's a lot of things that I was used to about the Xeno from having watched the movies so often. Like you know how they move basically, and this show, the Xeno is far more aggressive, way more aggressive than even Alien 3. Alien 3 was
Mhm.
probably the most aggressive one,
Yeah,
and I just thought that was because it didn't have a hive to bring,
right.
um, hosts to get impregnated by.
Mhm.
And also it came from the dog slash ox, depending
Yeah.
on which, cut you watched. So my mind always said, "Oh, okay, if there's no nest, it's more aggressive." I'll talk more later, but this Xeno, it moves way way too fast, especially when you're trying to convince us that little Joe Hermit can outrun it.
Yeah, those were moments that bugged me. Another part that bugged me with it, like not just that he ran it, but he took shelter in an elevator, and he closes the door, and
Sorry.
that stops the Xeno. When we already and this yeah, we didn't see it open the doors, which in the previous episode, when Mr. Morrow was in the computer lab room and he welds the door shut, and somehow the Xeno pulls the door open. I'm pretty sure doors on spaceships are designed to be far more substantial than elevator doors.
Especially since elevator doors are actually designed to open with pressure,
Mhm.
aren't they? Or am I just an idiot? They
I
differ
I'm not sure.
not once they're fully closed, but once you kind of get in, like before it's closed,
Mhm.
it's really easy to open it up because they
Yes.
have sensors. But
Mhm.
I don't know. It's the future, I guess. They can fan link that one to death.
There are these little things I'm trying not to nitpick, but certain inconsistencies get to me, and, that is an inconsistency that was really bugging me.
Buckle up because there's more.
Oh, yeah. And then we cut to a flashback of Wendy watching her brother versus security cams, trying to resign from Prodigy, and while she's doing that, Boy Genius and the scientists are watching what she's doing, and I know we'd mentioned it last episode. Um, their whole them being surprised that she's able to hack into stuff just remotely and just like, "Did we, give her that ability?" And that's it. No, "Hey, we should get her."
Well, no, well, actually, that was the first episode. In the first episode, they were surprised,
Right.
weren't
Oh,
they?
right, yes. Yes.
Episode, they actually say that they gave her access, and they say, "Was it a good idea to give her access?"
Oh, right, right, that was right, right, because she was getting access and then right, and the hacking thing was separate. Right, you're right. My mistake, my mistake.
So, but she was still hacking. She was hacking in both of them,
Okay.
in both examples. In this one, she's hacking. This example, they say we gave her access. You've got Dr. Low Sperm, you got Dom Sylvia, you got Boy Cavalier, you got Evil Alfred, and they're all just gathered over this thing watching her. Was this a good idea? Should we have let her do this? And then I wrote in big bold letters, they still didn't put up any countermeasures.
Yeah, those little I mean, we'll see plenty more examples, but it's the whole thing of like, okay, these are supposed to be scientists, and they're trying out a new technology, and they're not bringing in their bringing in the units of Wendy and these kids and troubleshooting of like, "Oh, here's this odd thing we didn't expect. Okay, let's, troubleshoot. Okay, why is it doing this? What is this code? No, let's just keep giving them access. Let's watch and everything." It's like, what are you, the scientists in the Fallout vaults who just give add little things just to see what happens?
It'll be fine. That's more of the attitude. It'll be fine.
Yeah, let's give our these kids android bodies and give these android bodies super strength and speed and agility and computer brains and put children who haven't gone through puberty into these bodies. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, and give them no initiation protocols, no information. Your body was a child body. Now you're in an adult body. This is this is all the growth that you missed, and you need to know about it. No, they didn't do that.
I can't remember if if it's in in a scene later on that I took note of or not, but I do remember a conversation, like maybe in this episode or the previous one, um, where the doctor said like, "Oh, we simulated puberty things, some algorithm or whatnot to simulate puberty for them," and so I'm just like, okay, all right, okay. And that was like the only.
On this note, and feel free to cut this if this is too political, but they brought it up. The Noah Hawley, the writer of the show, as well as all the other showrunners, one of their big things about the kids moving from these child bodies to adult bodies is a metaphor for transgenderism. Shocking, right? And I think it's really funny that, as in real life, people who put kids through these sorts of processes don't prepare them properly, just like in the show. I don't want to call them stupid, but if the boot fits, freaking wear it
Yeah, I'll go I might as well bite and I'll decide later if I cut this or not. Yeah, on the
for
topic
sure.
of that, I kinda wondered if there was like a if they were meant it as a transgender thing. Um, since that was their goal, I don't think they did it well. There's
No, extremely poorly.
yeah, like, there is a subtlety to when, there's a subtlety to discussing, you know, tricky topics and using something to symbolize something else. And I think there's like a fine line where you want to give enough for people to notice, oh, I see what you did, but do it in so subtle a way that they don't recognize that they see what you did. That's the best way I can give to describe it. I think it's a very fine line, and or you can just write it really well, and people are like, oh, I see what you did there. Well done.
Yeah, whereas I had to be told in an interview with probably Screen Rant or something like that, that this was the intention. You know what it might actually have been now that I think about it? The intention actually might not have been to insert transgenderism, gender identity politics into it, but they said that they did because they wanted to get a certain crowd.
That is also possible. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Oh, I could definitely see it. What, Hollywood? Being slick and slimy? Say it isn't so.
Here's our token moment. We'll just point to it and say, "Oh yeah, this is our little thing to placate you in this area. Oh, and we inserted this little thing here just to keep this group happy. Did we really? I don't know. It was in there. It was just in the show."
Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you
Mhm.
just make the show for the audience that is there and prepared to enjoy it? You know, if people come to a sushi restaurant, don't make freaking pizza. Maybe they'll figure this out in time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
If you don't like it, don't watch it. Sorry. Oh yeah. Well, I'm like, okay, let's get away from the
now no
political
one's
stuff.
making it, and now they're mad because citizens are taking their views. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. Again, that's Disney for you.
Yeah.
And speaking of Disney, you noticed a lot of Ice Age clips from different Ice Age movies.
Oh right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then they have this little joke. Remember, so Hermit is talking to the Wayland robot thing about getting an early release, which again I thought was an interesting scene. We always imagined that Earth would be highly corporatized and people would be seen as just cogs in the machine. It was good to actually have that show. So I thought it was an interesting scene until she hacks the machine. And so he says, what was he say? So Joe doesn't get his wife. He does not get his early release. And the robot says, no, it's been denied. And he says, have a heart or face my fury. WTF. And that comes completely out of nowhere until you realize that it's set up for a payoff that doesn't pay off because it doesn't fit. And the payoff is, oh, what does she say? I didn't write that down. I'm an idiot. But she rewrites the code to make the robot say furry what or something. So it was an
Right.
joke between Joe and Marcy slash Wendy when they were young.
Oh right.
Make
Yeah.
them go, what? And then the robot resets and that's that. And then, of course, everybody in the control center is who's watching Wendy do this is shocked that she can rewrite code, and they don't put up any countermeasures. N- no, none.
I'm just super smart. Super smart. Super smart. Super smart. I'm smart. 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 Smart.
Keep telling us that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dumb. Really quick, the follow-up, we have, right after that scene, we get a wide shot of New Siam, and I feel like the city design, uh, like, visually anyway, looked really good. It is pretty much what I imagined Earth in this world looks like, and then more.
Mhm.
I thought it was good. I liked the design.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean, it was the CGI, but it was good design.
yes. I have nothing but good things to say about the set design and a lot of the visuals are just fantastic. It just sucks that the writing is so poor.
Again, I've used ChatGPT to see what it can write, and this show reminds me of before I've edited it. Now, usually, obviously, when I write stuff, I want it to be my own thing, but, uh, I like to test out things. I like to see, well, let's see what happens. Let's get it to tell a story, and I'll go and edit it and see if something good can happen from it as an experiment. And it sounds exactly like ChatGPT.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay, so next scene we jump back to the present with Wendy and the Lost Boys arriving on scene,
Yep.
and now begins the next because the plot requires it. Wendy seems to hear some odd buzzing sounds.
Do you hear that too? Those were my exact same notes as well. Oh, a noise.
And then oh yeah, then they're
It'll probably go nowhere. They're
yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
do
yeah, they're not gonna draw much attention to it. Then she, watches on the security feed, sees where Brother Joe is, and gets semi-approval to head off and look and team up with him.
Yeah, and I had a question about her capabilities here. So she goes into the military command center, and then she starts, touching the screen and hacking it, and she finds her brother, um, and she's able to figure out who his CO is. So she
Mm,
finds his
right.
location. She knows exactly who his commanding officer is, but then she has to ask, "What floor is this?" And that feels like information you should know if you're able to find out all those other details.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm being overly critical, but that just kind of seemed like a little thing to add a little bit more dynamism to the scene. So she's not just doing things, but I feel like that's information she should have been able to find out.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I agree. It could be also considered a bit of a nitpick. I mean, I've got other things that are like, I think I'm just nitpicking, but you know,
Little things that would be totally fine if the rest of it were awesome. There's some genuinely amazing movies with some genuinely stupid things. And we excuse those things because the movie's great. This is what you get for wasting money.
yes. Speaking of, amazing things, s- I'll tie it together. Just watch. We cut to Boy Genius and having a thing with the Wayland Yutani, well, Yutani calling them, and they want to send in a team to collect anything from the crash site. And Prodigy, of course, tells them, talk to my lawyers.
That's what lawyers are for.
Now, the positive, the tablets and things that they're talking on, again, has a bit of that retrofuturism. Like, I don't know if you noticed that there was
Oh, yeah.
the little thumbstick for like controlling the thing that looked like some of the controls you'd find on the early MP3 players in like 2007. Yeah, just
I thought that was cool. The issue though is that the retrofuturism doesn't seem to work super good on Earth. The theme, because everything on Earth seems so flashy.
so like thinking that it probably should have just been a little grungier, almost slightly more Blade Runner ish.
I mean, it's supposed to be the same world,
Yes, but I mean that's a whole debate when it comes
but
to like who remembered that or not.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And however well you take Ridley Scott's word on things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you know what? That's a nitpick that's not really worth bringing up because you know what? It didn't. I only thought about it now. It didn't come across.
Okay. And then we get a little montage of Wendy and the Lost Boys wandering through the ship. Let's see
Before
from.
we get to that,
Mhm,
I there's one character that I was super interested in.
mhm.
We never see his face. We never get his name. It's the cleaning guy, the guy who's always washing the walls.
We do get a brief little
This
look
is
at
the
his face later on, but yeah, I know what who you're talking about.
well, maybe I nodded off.
There was a few moments where it's like, okay, this guy's gonna come into play, and then there was a later on that yes, I really did think that there was gonna be more to him because it wasn't just like, "Oh, he's there in a transition scene." No, he was, like, there in almost I don't know, it just he seemed to it almost was like the camera was drawing attention to him in any scene that he was in as if you're supposed to pay attention to this, pay attention to this.
Yeah. It seemed like a J.J. Abrams mystery box.
Yeah.
Oh, mystery box. Weird, crazy. It's a weird thing. How quirky, how fun. I still want to know, to be honest with you. He was probably my third favorite character after Kirsten Morrow, to be honest.
With the way the suit was designed that, when he was cleaning, just the way his suit was designed, I was like, "Hey, what is Dune doing in my Alien movie?"
Yeah. Well, did you ever there was this video game called, it's not Crime Scene Cleanup. No, it's basically a game where you play a cleaner guy, you wear kind of a similar outfit, and basically you're going for a space station and you're mopping up blood from a big alien versus human war, and you're the cleanup guy. You know, the whole theme of the thing is, in the movies, you see all this stuff, but you never see who cleans it up. That guy reminded me of the character from that video game. I have nothing further to say, Council.
So good. So yeah, we continue with Wendy and the Lost Boys wandering through the ship. Wendy continues to hear odd sounds, and then we get to see another monster, the hanging the hanging thing.
Yeah. Kirsch has actually a decent, I don't know if the line itself is good, but his delivery of it I thought was pretty good. The kids see this thing
Mhm.
hanging in the hallway, and he doesn't even look back at them. He just hears them gasp and stop walking. And then he says, "Fears for animals. You are not animals. Now move." I like his delivery. I like him.
He got some good lines, and even when he's given bad lines, I actually don't remember the name of I don't know the name of the actor, but he delivers his dialogue very well.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yes, yes.
He has this kind of thing. He talks through his teeth. That's what he always does, I guess. It just
Yeah.
works good. Yeah.
All right, so Kirsch then sends some of the kids to go find something to contain this thing. And then they get to find the lab where Mr. Morrow had secured those security guards. And, they're of course drained by those leech critters. And then we get our view of another great creature design.
I this creature was made fun of by quite a few other reviewers of the show,
Yeah.
and I never understood it. This was actually I take back what I said about the cleaner.
Mhm.
This monster character was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, the eyeball with tentacle things coming out of it, and so, yes, so it was in a cat, jumps out of the cat and comes after the kids, um, tries to get into, try attacks Nibs. They're able to subdue it somewhat under a pot. That creature design the creature designs in this are I think they're quite imaginative.
They're pretty good. They're definitely the stand. And
Mhm.
not to it's too bad that they decided to show too many things they wanted to do
Mhm.
because again, I feel like the entire season could have been on the not Nostromo because you had
Mhm.
all of these creatures, you had all of those characters. Take more time with them.
Yeah.
It would have been so much better.
Yes. Yeah. Little inconsistencies that I find this was one I found quite annoying. in the last episode when Mr. Morrow, after he had secured the security guards in the lab there, he then puts a call through to Wayland Dutani and says he's going to secure the area and that the specimens, I can't remember if he said are or seem to be secured. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like, what, okay, what kind of check did you do? Okay, I get it. You can't check everything or whatnot, but you went into the lab that they're stored in. Did you just stand in the middle of the room and look around like, "Yep, we're good," or did you check their cages to make sure, like, "Okay, this should be stored here. Is it here? Yes or no? Is it stored here? Yes or no?" Like, just
Well, so many of the containment, like the glass covers had cracks in them. I would think at the very least, your due diligence would be getting your face up real close and having a look.
I think the reason it bugs me is because it's a little bit of dialogue that says a lot. Like when some in any kind I mean, in any kind of report, if you just assume something is so, like you do an accident report or something, if you just assume something is so and leave a certain detail and then your detail was wrong, you get nailed to the wall for that. And just that little dialogue here that, like, you're dealing with parasites and you're not taking it seriously, and, I mean, there's other parts I can say. That's one thing I will say about a lot of the characters in this show is nobody seems to take the gravity of these creatures seriously. Even those who have even in previous dialogue say, like, "Oh, we had a hard time getting them," and they, sometimes drop a little detail of, like, what happened while catching this creature. Nobody acts like these are actually a danger. It's like, "Oh, yeah, we got hamsters and, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, shoot, this hamster can eat my hand."
They're so casual about it. Everybody's so casual about it.
Yeah.
And that I don't think is a nit because the devil
No,
is in it,
no.
when it comes to making a world that people will believe in and give their time to enjoy.
Mhm.
You have to have little details that make sense that at least make the viewer think you know what you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Morrow is portrayed as a character who is calm, calculating, and very smart.
Mhm.
So for him to just, "Mother, everything's secured." So, no, no, you ask mother if it's secured. You don't
Yeah.
tell her it's secured. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah. Exactly. So then we move on to, oh, yes, back to Joe, and he finds, the rest of some other security guards, and they are in part of the building and try to get some party goers to evacuate the building.
I have so many mixed feelings on what happens next.
Oh, where they get closed out, and then you can see in the background, suddenly the Xeno comes off of the fountain that they walk past, and
I mean, other than the fact that how convenient that the Xeno is gonna look like a statue in the background, I thought the shot itself looked fine.
Mhm.
I actually
Yes.
thought the death was pretty cool too. The right into his face and just
Oh, where the tail
oh,
impales them?
no, not even the tail. The alien comes up behind the security guard that's caught up to Hermit. And of course, the guy doesn't even bother shooting. This is another thing too. Everybody in the show does this with the alien. Alien comes up behind them, and they do that for a really long time. And but I thought the gore effects there was really good. Like the alien's inner jaw goes and smashes
Right.
into his face
Yep.
and waving around like a rag doll. I thought that was dope. I thought that was cool. That's not the mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings on what happens after.
When it goes into breaks into the apartment and goes nuts on
Yeah,
everybody?
yeah. I have lows. You go though if you have something you want to.
No, I was just gonna continue describing the scene where it goes in and starts killing everything, and then
Sure.
Joe,
Why don't
and
you
then
describe it, and then I'll go over my misgivings. I have very, uh, yeah. Go ahead, and then I'll go off. I guess.
let's see. Oh yes, and then Joe picks up a gun, heads in after it. And do you want me to
After
just
the Xeno runs
after?
into the park.
Yeah, follows it in,
Yeah.
and he's like looking around, and of course, blood, gore everywhere, people cut in half, dragging themselves along the floor,
Yeah.
and then when the Xeno's about to attack him, Mr. Morrow jumps in with a glorified taser and and then stuns the Xeno and encases it for transport.
Yeah. I have thoughts about that part too, but the parts that I have a lot of mixed feelings with have to do with the Xeno itself.
Okay, go for it.
This is going to be a very weird statement, so I'll say it and then I'll clarify. The Xeno is portrayed as way too lethal compared to what we are
Mm,
used to. The Xeno usually, if it runs into a room, it'll slaughter maybe one person, grab another, kidnap them, take them to a hive. Right. They don't generally run into rooms and eliminate everybody in about 20 seconds. The alien, I didn't count, but the alien is in there and attacking the people. You hear it.
mhm,
It's about 15, 20 seconds. So Hermit goes into this room and everybody's dead. I think there was about 6 or 8 people. At least 4 or 5 of them were still seated at the table, dead,
mm,
covered in blood, but like just kind of just sitting like this. You're trying to tell me that a creature like the Xeno comes in, whips around, kills everybody within 20 seconds, and the dishes and the candles on the table are not disrupted? And the people are just sitting there in their freaking chairs? Like, they look like they would have been shot. Like, someone would come up and go boom,
mhm,
boom, boom, Fusion style. Not a savage, wild, merciless animal. This was not the scene of an animal. It's just, again, compared to what I know of the Xeno, what I'm familiar with, it killed them
mhm,
way too fast and it killed them way too perfectly. But the gore effects look really good. Now, the part that I did like, which you mentioned, was the guy who's crawling along the ground and his legs are off somewhere. That was fine. I didn't have an issue with that. The only thing I thought was, okay, well, how did he get torn in half?
mm,
Because Xenos don't usually dismember people. They'll spear them. They try to keep them alive as hosts.
yeah,
We'll go in and slaughter them like a wild animal.
mhm,
It just felt wrong. And even though again I'm a gore hound, but it didn't feel right. I don't know. Maybe that's just an OCD.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Resurrection, but they seem to go nuts on people in Resurrection, but we didn't usually see the aftermath.
Yeah, there were a couple of spots where the alien would run into an escape pod and
Mhm,
slaughter everybody. Okay, fair enough, because its biological initiative right now is survival and escape. So it's going to kill all the threats in the room for sure.
yeah,
But everybody else, for the most part, like sometimes they kill. I'm not saying they don't just kill people; they only go for hosts. But above and beyond, they're looking for hosts for
mhm,
the end.
yeah,
Um, and it just it just seemed like this thing was only out for blood, which is inconsistent in my mind. Is inconsistent with its biological imperative. Right? Its
yeah,
biological and evolutionary imperative, the way that its species reproduces is through the process that we're familiar with.
right,
And it made no sense to
mhm,
me what we know about the Zeta.
right,
Up to this point, though, I'm thinking, okay, maybe like in Alien 3, there's no hive, therefore its biological imperative is more aggression, possibly. But in Alien 3, it would actually eat some of the people that it killed.
Right. Yeah.
This one's not doing it. So I don't know. It all felt wrong to me.
Yeah, I didn't yeah, I was more focused on some of the movements, like the movements it felt now again, it may vary, based on, like, 'cause, I mean, the fact that this Xeno is we see it more it's not in shadow as much as the first 2 films, so there's a lot of movements, like, when it's running around that I know from I know this was definitely a nitpick, but it just felt more dog-like, like a greyhound, lean and like a fast dog. It didn't feel
It
as
did,
extraterrestrial.
and yet the suit looked chunkier. It felt chunkier to me than previous ones. So it was faster,
Mm,
but it maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it feels a bit chunkier. I don't care
mm,
about that as though.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I don't know.
mhm,
The violence was cool. I mean,
yeah,
the gore was great. It looked really good.
yeah, yeah, it did. Now getting into the way Mr. Morrow contains the Xeno, um, one of my first thought was like, "Oh, wow, that was awfully efficient, okay." And then, of course, my details brain starts going like, "Okay, so this is supposed to take place before the first Alien movie. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll give them grace for sending a bunch of truckers to get a sample, but let's go with aliens.
Yep.
Even if they are doubting that they're gonna find xenomorphs on this rock, you'd think at least they'd be like, "Hey, just in case we do, let's send these weapons in that have this electric stun thing, which we know aliens, these Xenos react get knocked out by electricity because of this, and hey, we got this special spray that'll help contain them. Let's go and issue that to the Marines." It's just little logical. It's one of my issues of prequels. Like I don't think prequels in and of themselves are bad, but you need to pay attention to details and nitpick like as a writer or creator, you need to my thoughts is you need to, yeah, pay attention to the details and nitpick everything.
Yeah, because that's like a very advanced piece of technology that would have been super useful, as you said, for Alien. Was 100% my issue. Not the fact that it was effective. Yeah, I mean, but keep in mind, but probably it's not like there weren't examples of weapons like that in sci-fi movies in the 80s. There were,
Yeah, yeah,
but they didn't put them in the movie like that because they didn't want the Xeno to look not scary.
mhm,
And I'm sorry, putting a Xeno to sleep with a glorified stun gun makes it not scary. Which brings me to my biggest complaint of the show is at no point is the Xeno ever terrifying. Ever.
yeah, yeah,
The Xeno for me is the most unsettling, brutal creature, maybe maybe just under the thing from the thing.
yeah, yeah,
Was not scary at all.
no, no, it
Not
wasn't.
even, which I think has more to do with the writing. They don't know how to build tension. There's that's a detail I did not
Mm,
write.
mhm,
This episode was supposed to be a ramping up of tension
yeah,
because there's a whole bunch of action scenes and there's no buildup of tension. There's not even a slow burn. I like slow burn. I like patient. It it was just and then and then and then. That's how the scene structure went. It wasn't here's this scene, therefore. It was and then.
yeah,
Sloppy.
and you could tell each you could pretty much tell which scene that the Xena was gonna likely show up, like, pretty much most of the scenes with the Lost Boys, I was like, "Xeno's not gonna show." "Oh, nope, Xeno's not gonna show." And then there were just certain scenes where within a few seconds you could be like, "Oh, the Xeno's gonna show up." And it never failed. There was no, like you said, buildup of tension. And as much as I was anticipating there being, like, creepy shenanigans happening with the rest of the Lost Boys team, it wasn't tense. I just you it
Yeah.
there yeah, there
Well, I think part of the problem was they spend a lot more time trying, and I mean trying. I don't mean succeeding, trying to humanize the Lost Boys, and they spend almost no time humanizing the not Marines. If you want a monster to be scary, I need to care about characters because I need to be able to see the scenario from their perspective.
Mhm.
Because I don't care about them, they're two-dimensional, I cannot put myself in their shoes. So I am not scared.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we're supposed to empathize with Joe, and I know we've been given a bit more of all the Marine n not sp of all the not Space Marines, he's given them, I guess, the most quote unquote, or supposed to have the most character, but even him, I'm just kinda like, okay, he's there."
He's a weenie. Maybe that's mean to say. I but he just the way that he's portrayed, his mannerisms, everything, he's a weenie. I do not believe for 1 second he's how you good as a combat medic. There are so many people who are combat medics and they still reek of badassery. Yeah. It is not convincing. You're not convincing anybody. Marlo's cool though.
Oh, yeah, I liked his character. And, like, speaking of him, yeah, we got a scene with, Kirsch going with the Lost Boys, getting some more information about the ship and, research vessel, deep space, all that stuff, critters. And then we get to tomorrow, dragging the Xeno to the elevator, and then stopped by some more security guys. Yeah, security guys, and tries to BS his way through, and it breaks out and kills them all. And he demonstrates some.
Again, so fast.
It
It was
was one.
cool. It looked
Mhm.
cool. It was filmed cool. I liked it, but I didn't believe that it was the Xeno.
No, no. Also, it was a thing of like, okay, so why did we need the scene of him capturing it, and then one scene later it breaks out again? Like there was no point. That felt like, I don't know. It seemed like the only reason that was there was maybe they're like, hey, let's show this, destroy a group of people, and oh shoot, we've painted ourselves into a corner where Joe is in the room. Oh, we got to keep him alive somehow. Okay, Moro saves him, and oh yeah, we got to break the Xeno out again.
Yeah.
Seem kind of padding and everything, and like we learned nothing new from this thing other than Moro knows that the Xenos can sense fear, which he's had no contact with these things other than that one point on the ship. So, like, how do you know so
How
much
does he
about
know
this
that?
thing?
Yeah, well, the other that just brings up a whole other thing. The people on the Not Nostromo, and we'll see more of this in episode 6, I think it was. But everybody seems to know way more about the Xeno than feels right. Because even in the first Alien, all the way back when they still made good movies in 1979, um, you never got the impression that Wayland Yutani knew exactly what it was they were messing with.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt more like a probing mission, and the way that Ash interacted with all the scenarios that came around that, it felt very much like they were just figuring it out themselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
They had this intense knowledge. Now all of a sudden everyone refers to it as the Xenomorph, which is weird because Xenomorph is Latin, I think, for unknown creature or creature of unknown identity.
Yep. And isn't used until Aliens when the
Yeah,
lieutenant is giving the briefing to the rest of the Marines.
yeah. They seem to know way more about it. That Xenomorph is an inappropriate name.
Hmm.
If that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
But just it didn't work well.
Hmm.
Um, But we see eggs,
Yes.
so it
Yes,
turns
and
out they're eggs now. Kirsch looks at a computer camera and he sees a bunch of eggs, and you go, "Oh, well, okay. There goes my theory about it being extra aggressive because there's no hive. There's a hive."
yep.
And you notice the way the eggs are laid out. They've got the squishy thing going on. They've not been set out by scientists. They're out in the open. So my
Mhm.
first thought was, "Oh, they got a queen."
My first thought was because, when you see it, they've all there's the lighting effect is from the first Aliens, like that field over top of the eggs. My first thought was like, "Oh, so they needed to store them that way, okay," and they know that this I guess they know this field is supposed to keep them contained until something gets close, maybe? I don't know. Again, they seem to know a lot of things. I don't know, but
It looked like, I don't think they call it this in the alien world, but it's like in StarCraft when you're playing the Zerg or you're playing
Mm.
against the
Yep,
when they start to build up their structures, they get that creep, that
yep.
little carpet that they put out. That's
Mhm,
kind of the same thing.
mhm,
And because we've also seen the alien eggs being in a setting where it's more of a laboratory
mhm.
and there's no creep.
Yeah.
So unless I'm mistaken, I thought if you want the creep, that means that there's a queen. Is that right or wrong?
I don't know because, in the director's cut of Alien, there's some extra scenes where, um now Ridley Scott has said this is actually not his preferred version, which is interesting considering it's titled director's cut. But when, Ripley is, of course, going through the ship, she comes across, I can't remember, I think it was the captain. She comes across him and somebody else, yeah, Dallas, and they are in some hold thing with a bunch of creep around them, and it looks like Dallas or one of the other guys is being slowly transformed into a xenomorph egg.
Oh, is that what he was supposed to be?
Well, I know there was two of them in there, and you look at it and it looks like so again, that's the director's cut. There's depending on what, cut could say, like, what's canon, what's not. I think that was before the whole idea of the queen came along, so when from what I got remember from a interview or something I read, that was supposed to show how they reproduce, is that they can also turn biological material into eggs.
I mean, that's clearly retconned at this point, but I think the scene, I know what the scene you're talking about. I think the scene still works, even if it's no longer they get turned into an egg. Because what that says about the Xeno is, again, going along with its biological imperative. Even in the absence of a queen and in the absence of the eggs, it still captures people and glues them to the wall.
Mhm.
And again, this Xeno is not doing that.
No.
And actually, I didn't realize that you reminded me. The glue stuff or the creep stuff actually
Mhm.
comes from those little weird pipe things at the back of their heads or on their back.
Ah, okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's how. Did you watch Romulus?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Um, well, I don't want to spoil it for you. Then it that comes into play, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay, I see.
Um, but yeah, we have the eggs, and the
W
aliens not bringing hosts.
no. Yeah, I think, for most of the rest of the episode, there was a lot of scenes that were just kinda like, "Okay."
Well, not only that, it's about this point that we get a massively, again, just throw it onto the pile, I guess. Yet another massive missed opportunity
Mhm.
for some good drama. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When, Wendy and, Slightly find Joe in the apartment and then that whole thing? Yeah. Yeah.
Where where he finds out that this is actually his sister.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and not by anything she says, but just because Slightly just keeps on running his mouth and then drops that, "Oh, yeah, this is your sister."
and that could have been fine. you had this moment where he's obviously really upset by this, and she's trying to convince him that it's okay.
Yeah.
And that basically gets resolved in about 25 seconds. Not that that's the kind of thing that I want stretched out for an entire season, but you don't need to resolve something like that within 25 seconds. You need to let it breathe a little.
Mhm.
The chance to see Hermie, Hermit, as a real person,
Yeah.
because a real person, if I thought my sister died, and then I meet this person who is an android, and then I find out that my sister was transferred into that body, that would be quite quite the existential, like, mind flub.
Mhm.
But no, 25 seconds, he's good.
Yeah. Like, all he does is, he starts quizzing her just to see if this is his sister, but she'll like, "Okay, makes sense." But I don't know, I kinda felt there should be a bit more to it, especially because he is already in a stressful situation. He's just survived, a critter attack and whatnot, and then, been knocked out. And then suddenly like, "Oh, yeah, and the sister you thought was dead is alive, and she's in a robot body." I don't know, I mean, I'm even asking myself, "Okay, what did I expect? What would I have wanted done differently?" I'm not sure, I think just more weight, have it actually mean something. Like,
Yeah,
have him emote der beyond just being slack-jawed
50
pretty
Shades
much.
of he mopes.
He mopes a lot.
He's like Bella Ramsey from, The Last of Us, who played, Ellie.
Eh,
She has basically one default emotion range, and, did not have he's kinda like that,
eh,
but less charismatic, and that is not a compliment to Bella Ramsey. No offense, he just mopes all the time.
yeah.
I've heard soldiers mope. Soldiers mope proactively.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
I'm not saying they're always in the great headspace. They obviously they do a lot, they see a lot, but they don't mope like that. He mopes like somebody who has only ever interacted with women on Tinder.
Yeah. He comes across as someone who is introverted and never pushed themselves to try to still socialize or just learn to be around other people. Um, which just which makes me just the way he acts like, okay, I'm not expecting you to be chummy chummy with people, but you're in the military. I mean, we learn later on about a little bit some hints of his other service. You'd think that with this unit there'd be some like there's you learn certain social something, how to emote beyond
There's
moping.
anytime you talk to someone who is actively in the military, they speak efficiently. And one of the ways that they speak efficiently is they put their emotions to the back burner,
Yeah.
whether successfully or unsuccessfully, but the way that they
Mhm.
talk, very
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Where he wears his emotions on his face, on his shoulders, like you can see it. It's like a physical weight.
Yes.
This is not somebody who's been through boot camp. This is not somebody who has dissected people or dealt with extremely horrific wounds
Mhm.
in mind. Uh, that being said, the times where he does give medical attention in those moments, I don't have an issue
No,
with
not at
his
all.
performance there. But that doesn't jive with everything else we get about him, which is just this. It's so sad all the time.
Just the way he functions does not seem like a professional. Like this, like he seems like, and maybe this was intentional. He seems like someone who was roped into this. Like okay, I will give him this. He does come across as someone that was roped and forced into this position. Fine, that actually works. The problem is he doesn't come across as someone who has so, we're told, that he has some kind of medical training, hasn't finished medical school, so he's not like a full-blown doctor, but he's got a decent amount of knowledge and experience to be in the military as a medic,
Mhm.
but just the way he acts and everything, and like you said, like, not doesn't have that same, I guess, no nonsense, like, this is the pertinent information. He felt more like someone who has just had a first aid course and then is put in military training. Sorry, into the unit. That's
Yeah.
all it is, and it just it do and this is not a knock against people who has first aid, but he doesn't come across as someone who has gone beyond that. Like, I sometimes hear my wife's, radio before she would be on call. Sometimes we would hear some of dispatch, talking back and forth, and just people who are in those kind of first responder, military, whatever situations, like you said, they have a way of speaking. And
Yeah.
even when they are like, yes, he's talking with some, androids and stuff, but he is still in a emergency situation. You don't just turn it on and off willy-nilly back and forth. I'm in an emergency situation. Emergency me is always on.
Yes.
And like Chan- Chantel's talked with Chantel's talked with me about that with her
Yeah.
in emergency situations and how she's sometimes had to process and come down off of it so that she could go from firefighter Chantel to everyday Chantel. And
Yeah.
this guy doesn't have the there's no distinction, but his head is not in the game.
Yeah, and it makes his character feel very inconsistent. And the fact his uniform is different than his unit is, maybe I'm wrong, that seems abnormal. His uniform itself almost looks like a variation of a fisherman jacket. But combat medics, they wear the full uniform because they're supposed to, these guys are not combat, they're security force, but they're still military.
Mhm.
And I mean, why try to reinvent the wheel? Just give him the same uniform and put the first aid symbol on his helmet. Because otherwise he really stands out. He honestly, take the helmet off, cast a line, he's just fishing. He's fly fishing. It just didn't make sense to me. Again, devil's in the details. You need to make the world believable visually as well as in the script.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
really falls apart in those little areas. It shocks me that this series was produced by Ridley Scott, because even in
Wait,
projections, it was produced by Ridley Scott, dude.
okay, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Ridley Scott looked at this and said, "That's good enough."
I mean, we could go into a whole thing about Prometheus and this decisions made there, but still, yeah,
Prometheus, by comparison to this, Prometheus is the godfather.
I wouldn't go quite that far. I mean, the scientists are probably just as dumb in this as in Prometheus.
Perhaps just as dumb, but they had more character.
Hmm. In Prometheus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had a cast of 24, 25 crew members, and even the ones that had maybe 1 line or 2 line, they were distinct characters.
Mm,
So for all the problems that Prometheus had, it had distinct characters.
mm. Yeah,
Whereas here, I honestly couldn't tell one security force person from another, except for the girl with the non-military regulation haircut.
right, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you mean. Yeah, as characters go, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is surprising, like, I wonder if they just Disney just rolled up with some money to Ridley Scott's store and say, "Hey, just say you produced this." I don't know.
Possibly, probably.
I don't know.
He praised it afterwards, which I mean, a lot of people feel the need to do so. But in a public event and after Alien Earth, he praised it. He was like, "This is bloody amazing. This is great. You guys have taken the world that I created and made something amazing with it."
I mean, they did take the world. I wouldn't say they made something amazing, but
Yeah. The only thing I could say in defense of Sir Ridley Scott is he's, I think, 88. So he's getting a little old.
how old is George Miller again? Sorry. Now we could go really,
Actually, how old is he?
I think he's in his 80s too, like, George Miller is up there. I mean, I know this is kinda getting off topic, but, just give me a moment, I'll Google it.
I mean, Fury Road that was a cool movie.
George Miller is 80 years old, and he's still and from what I understand, last I heard, he still wants to do more with the franchise. So, I mean, everyone ages differently and, stuff happens. So, yeah, I wonder if really Scott's work in this may have contributed to the fact that it looks so good.
It could just be that they had an extremely dedicated set design coordinator. But yeah,
Uh,
before we get too off track, I guess I
yeah.
think we had just finished up with the missed opportunity for drama.
Yes. Yes. All right. So yeah, there's not much else left in the episode. Basically, we have because Kirsch had radioed for Wendy and slightly to start heading towards the front of the ship where the eggs are being held because Kirsch could see them, and they meet up with I forgot who else was. I think it was Smee. Yeah, I think it was Smee. And then like they show up, and then the Xeno suddenly jumps on Joe, and they fall through a hole in the hull, and Wendy heads off after them, and that's the end of the episode.
Really hope I'm not being a dead horse here.
Okay, go for it.
We talked earlier about the alien's biological imperative and the way that it reproduces. It finally has somebody who is going to get a face hugger on him. Like, literally, Joe is practically French kissing this freaking thing.
Right, yes, I forgot about that.
Close to it, you can see the egg lips are starting to
Mhm.
whatever. And then as this is happening, the alien tackles him outside the window. And I know that the alien is just a creature, but the alien still has a goal.
Mhm.
Every animal has a goal.
Mhm.
At this point, I had no idea what the Xeno's goal was
Yeah,
at all
yeah,
because it kills everything. It should be bringing them back to a hive. It finally has somebody who just wanders and is willing to basically stick his face super close and then tackles a outside of a window. This for me is where the show went from dumb but with potential to full on retarded,
yeah.
full retard. Because that's when I realized this show actually does not understand the Xeno,
No, it doesn't. No.
and I was right.
Yeah, that whole lead up sequence, there's just so much there that yeah, no, I'd be just reiterating what you said. I agree. That's was similar thoughts I was having. The Xeno also removed any tension from that scene. Like, I would say that was, like, one of the first scenes that there was actually some tension where 'cause, we all know as fans know what the eggs represent, what's gonna happen, and so we're just waiting for, you know, things to happen, right? And he's getting close to it, and we can see it starting to, quiver, and we're like, "Oh, shoot, well, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna get it? Is he not? What's gonna happen?" And then the Xeno jumps him, like I mean, even before that, it was telegraphed the Xeno was coming because we got a, first person view of so
Yeah.
we knew something was happening, but it just
Remember how the one of the big number one complaints for Taika Waititi with the Thor movie,
eh,
I think Love and Thunder, was he undercut every single moment of dramatic tension with kindergarten level humor.
the fun thing is I was just thinking that thought, I was about to make that point. No, it's all good. I appreciate that we're on the same
This
page.
show is doing that, but without any of the humor.
Mhm.
At least with Waititi, you can think, okay, his priority is the joke. Here you go. What is the priority here? What's the priority of the writer, of the direction? We find out in the second or in the third episode, which I won't get into, why that is the case. It's just none of it makes sense at all. And then you get, the modern rock music or whatever signaling that the I hate it. I hate
I hated
every
that
single
so
time that it happens.
I did too. Just the outro music for the episode was always some kinda rock thing, and it felt like the creators were like, "Hey, we're a super modern show." Like, that's all it felt like. It took me out of whatever they were trying to build. Um, it coulda worked, just not with this show.
Not with this show. You could make something like that work with a Predator show.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not with an Alien show.
I think the only way they could have made it work is if perhaps, Boy Genius enjoyed rock music, and then here and there, he's, like, turning it on, turning it off, or, like, little things like that. It would have still
Is he
it was
reading and to sleeping children?
Yeah, yeah, right, it yes, yeah, it felt so off. Speaking of the Peter Pan thing, um, I find it funny that it was took the second episode before it started really annoying me, when Wendy is talking with Joe and she mentions, Boy Genius had said that she wouldn't be able to go home and everything, and that was when one of the points there where I was just like, okay, enough with the Peter Pan stuff was just so on the nose." Like, it's some might consider that a nitpick, but it's
No,
I've
it's
I
pain.
yeah, like, I find, like, I'm using other stories as a framework or, like, using symbolism and all that, go for it. You can do all kinds of really neat stuff with it. The problem was it was just so on the nose. You're just waiting for someone to have a pacemaker that is always going tick tock or something, right? Like, it
Yeah,
was just so much it was just so on the nose. It felt like someone said, "Hey, let's do a Peter Pan, Aliens combination."
it doesn't need that. Alien at its core, from what I understand anyway, is basically it's Lovecraftian. Basically, the first Alien movie is at the Mountains of Madness, but in space.
I would consider Prometheus a bit more so,
I
but
agree with that.
but, I agree, yes, there's a lot of Lovecraft, elements in the Alien franchise.
Peter Pan's not very Lovecraftian. I don't know if you knew that.
I just finished actually reading the book.
Yeah, I have it. I haven't read it yet. No. It's just yet one more thing. Disney's like, oh, we gotta throw all these little Disney things in there. Peter Pan, you got Ice Age, you got
Here here's our product, and we're gonna advertise our other products within this product.
get excited for next product.
Oh, now I'm getting a picture of that meme. Consume product, get excited for next product. Uh,
S- I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I do remember the next episode. It's gonna be so much fun.
yeah, yeah. We'll say that for later.
Save it for later.
Yeah.
Um, Here, why don't it in the last week since we talked, did you watch something that you enjoyed or at least did not hate?
I actually been watching on and off, Collateral on Netflix with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx.
Great movie.
Yeah, I'm getting it, so I'm like, "Oh, this is like."
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's got a lot there, and the building of tension, I think that's a good example of good building of tension, and what I also found interesting with myself 'cause I haven't finished it, but it's weird, I'm having this thing where I want Jamie Foxx's character to get out of there. I want the police to catch Tom Cruise's character, Vincent, but it's weird. There's also a part of me that wants to see Vincent get his mission done,
Yep.
finish what he's gonna the evil things gonna do, and get away. It's really interesting that that the movie gives you that feel.
It's a phenomenal movie. It's a phenomenal movie. That's for sure. Okay, well, here's a movie that I was surprised that I did not hate, but it is not a good movie. And I think the reason why I did not hate it was because my expectations were basically rock bottom. Jurassic World Rebirth.
Is that the latest one?
That's the latest one.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
The only great thing I can say about it is it's better than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion.
Yeah,
I hated Fallen Kingdom. I loathed Dominion.
yeah,
And the first Jurassic World was derivative, but I enjoy. This one had some cool dinosaurs in it. It's basically the island is where they did all the experimentation, the mutations.
right, yeah,
You know, the plot moved along and had big dinosaurs, and the child in my brain was like, "Big dinosaurs." Wasn't a good movie, but I didn't hate it. I would probably actually rewatch it, to be honest. It has a video game plot. Go to island, get 3 samples, come back, and then decide what corporation you wanna give it to. The one that's gonna earn money or the one that's for the people. That's not a spoiler. You can see that a
right.
mile away. Very video game plot, but, um and Scarlett Johansson's probably one of the few women that to me is plays a believable badass.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. I'm not gonna say it was fun.
But you watch something that was enjoyable and is popcorn flick, and then we've got Alien Earth from a franchise that is starts out with some thinker stuff and then starts going downhill from there.
Yeah. Whereas the thing with Rebirth is at no point did it try to fool you that it was a smart film. So I
Yeah.
didn't feel like my intelligence was insulted because they never tried to act smart. Whereas Alien Earth thinks that it's smart.
I mean, there's so many great ideas here, and we can address the ones that get brought up in the other episodes. Like, there's some other ones that I'm really looking forward to discussing some of the ideas that they not hinted at, but actually brought forward and did absolutely nothing with. Um, yeah, so but I'm gonna try to avoid getting too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed this. I know we were complaining about a lot of stuff. Like, again, the only reason why I'm interested in doing this is because I love the Alien franchise so much. And
There is a line in this song by Miracle of Sound. Trying to remember the name of the song. It's called I think it's called Goodbye Black Ops. I think it is, and
that
the song is about just issues with the Call of Duty franchise. Um, just letting it go. And there's a line. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact wording, but um, don't think this comes from all this comes from hate. We complain because we love you and we want you to be great. And I think that sums up a lot of just fandom and complaint. At least I don't know about everybody, but I think a lot of the complaints with stuff like this is we love. Yeah, I really like the Alien franchise too. There's been a lot of missteps, but there's a lot there, and it hurts when there's ideas brought like not just like oh the franchise has this has potential for ideas, but actually brings ideas forward and does nothing with them.
it could be Alien Earth, just missed opportunity, or Alien missed opportunity. That's the series. Could have
But,
been it could have been great. I personally would not have said it as a prequel to Alien. I would
uh,
have actually done it after Resurrection.
I would have put it before, actually before Resurrection, and had it gone, make it go south, because of
The
you know,
world
you,
gets taken over, or at least the world is completely under attack. That would have been cool.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, heck, I mean, you could even there's other shit you could bring in the Predator. You could have an Predator thing that would be kinda cool. They're like, "We don't want this stuff to get out of control." I
yeah. I
mean,
think
that's a idea now that I say it out loud, but
we can discuss the Aliens and Predator franchise, and some of the
yeah,
origins of there and some of these things later on. I have thoughts and
sure.
opinions, but yeah, we can easily talk a whole bunch about that.
That sounds good. Awesome, buddy.
All right,
Well,
this
this
was
was fun.
great.
Okay, thanks, bud. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. You can find more from Sir Nick by searching Great Tradition on YouTube. You can also find me there by searching Classy Chappy. If we name dropped anyone during the show, be sure to check them out and leave them a comment saying that Classy Chappy sent you. The intro music was by Kevin MacLeod, Incomtech.com, used under Creative Commons 4.0. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.